Welcome to this video lecture series on transportation engineering. In this session, we shall discuss on the accident studies. Accident studies are very much important as far as the traffic studies or traffic engineering is considered, because it directly relates to the valuable life of the driver and the passengers, as well as the economy concerned in regards with the vehicles. Because if there is an accident, it may lead to the loss of valuable life and loss of property, that is the vehicle. So the causes of the road accidents are: first, the road users. Road users speeding at an excessive speed and rash driving, the violation of the traffic rules, the failure of the perceived traffic situations or signs or signal in adequate time, the carelessness, fatigue, consumption of alcohol or other types of drugs, and the sleep, etc., are the examples of the causes of the accident by the driver or the road users. Second, the vehicles. The defects which may be caused into the vehicles which lead to the failure of the brakes, the steering system, the tire burst, the lightning system, etc., leads to an accident. Third is the road condition. The skidding road surface, majorly in the rainy season, the potholes which leads to the loosening of the control of the driver on the steering wheel, or the defect into the steering system, which may also lead to the tire burst and can cause the accident. Fourth is the roadside. The defective geometric design, like the provision of an inadequate side distance, inadequate width of the shoulders, improper curve design, improper control devices, and improper lightning, can lead to the accidents, as the provision of the inadequate side distance can lead towards the accident, as if there is no provision of the adequate stopping side distance or the overtaking side distances, then it may cause the discomfort for the driver in order to make a decision and drive the vehicle in order to overtake or stop the vehicle in case any opposite or the vehicle moving in front of him stops suddenly. The environmental factors. The unfavorable weather conditions like the mist, snow, smoke, and heavy rainfall, which actually will restrict the normal vision and vision of the driver and will make the driving unsafe. So this again may lead to the cause of an accident. And lastly are the other causes, which includes the improper location of the advertisement boards, the gate of the level crossing not closed when required, etc. The objects of the accident studies. First, the object of the accident study is to study the causes of the accidents and suggest the corrective measures. Second is to evaluate the existing design regulation and the control measures, which will help in order to provide the various control devices which can minimize the causes of accidents in the future. Third, to compute the financial losses incurred. Now, if there is a road accident, along with the loss of the valuable life, there might be the loss of the vehicle and the property. So here, it may compute these financial losses. Next, to support the proposed design. Whatever is the road provided, if uh, if there is a road accident and if it is by the cause of the road user or the vehicle, then in that case the road design may not be held responsible for the accident, so it may be used to support the proposed design of the roads. Next, to provide the economic justification regarding the road user cost, the maintenance cost and the accident cost, and for the improvement suggested by the traffic engineer. Sixth is to carry out the before and after studies after implementing the changes. This means that if there is a accident prone area and necessary measures are being taken in order to eradicate the causes of the accident at that particular location, then the before and after data it may be collected, which may be helpful in implementing the changes. Lastly, to calculate the financial losses. Now, the causes of the road accidents. First is the road user. The driver, pedestrian, and the passenger. These are the three basic users of the road. Now, first, the driver. The age of the driver, the fatigue, the overspeeding, the rash driving, the carelessness and violation of rules and regulations, failure in understanding the situation, consumption of alcohol and drugs are the major reasons that the drivers they commit an accident. Next, pedestrian. The carelessness and lack of awareness amongst the pedestrian is a major reason of the accidents while the person is walking on the road or is crossing on the road. Lastly, the passenger. The boarding and deboarding on the moving vehicles, it leads to the accidents by the passengers. Second is the vehicle. The braking system. The interaction between the system tire and the road surface, it basically governs the braking performance of the vehicle. The skidding, failure of the vehicle, it leads to an accident. Next is the vehicle lightening system. First is the main beam, which enables the driver to see the road ahead from a longer distance. Next is the dipper light. The dipper light, it provides sufficient visibility to the driver by avoiding the glare from the opposite vehicle. Third is the rear lamp, which gives the indication of the presence of the vehicle for the following vehicles. Next is the direction indicator, which gives a notice about the turning movement beforehand. Next, vehicle body and its feature. The vehicle body and its features, it includes first the shape and dimension of the driver seat. Second, the positioning of controls with respect to the driver seat. Next is the visibility of the driver from the seat. Fifth is the noise level in the vehicle. Next is the screen wipers, mirrors and tires, etc. The vehicle inspection and maintenance. The defects and the regular servicing is very much important in order to inspect the vehicle and maintain the vehicle at a standardized condition or in a good condition. Third reason is the road and its condition. As we know that the friction in between the tire and the top surface of the road, it is basically responsible for the braking of the vehicles. So in this case, If the road is slippery, then the friction in between the tire and the surface will be the least, which will cause or which will lead to the accidents. Potholes, they are the depressions on the road which actually causes the delay in the traffic and the sudden braking of the vehicles at these potholes. They may lead to the accident at the rear end of the vehicle by the following vehicle. Next is the side distance. The stopping side distance and overtaking side distances, they are important, as the stopping side distance provides ample amount of distance in order to apply the brakes for the driver following a vehicle, and the overtaking side distance gives the ample time and the width of the lane so the driver can overtake a slow moving vehicle in front of him. Superelevation, the adequate superelevation should be provided in order to avoid the lateral skid of the vehicle and on the curves. The carriageway width, sufficient width should be provided depending upon the traffic in order to provide utmost width for the lane so that the vehicles they can move with ease. Next, deficiency in the road signs and markings. The design and placing and height of the signboards, the stop line markings, the pedestrian crossing markings, etc. If they are not provided at the design heights and placings, they will lead to the negligence of the road user, thus causing the accidents. The junction design. At the junctions or at the intersections, the turning radius, the width of entry and exit, it should be ample enough so that the vehicles can turn or cross the lane with utmost safety, and at the same time the side distances by provision of the setback distances at these junctions again becomes very much important, as the vehicles which actually is coming on a lane at an intersection should be able to observe the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, thus avoiding the collision and the accident. Narrow bridges and culverts, they are the causes of the serious accidents when the road is wide and then that the width of the bridge or the culvert is narrow, because it causes the vehicles to merge from a wide lane into a narrow lane. Next, median. It prevents the head-on collisions on the street lightnings. The environmental factors and weather conditions. Now, these factors majorly they are in consideration to the seasonal variations like the rainy season or the winter season, wherein there is a snow or a mist or the heavy rainfall. Whereas for the other or the rest of the seasons or for a majority period of the year, the smoke, the dust, the animal or the other factors which intrude into the road, they may lead to the cause of accident. The provision to prevent the road accidents. First is to remove the obstructions causing the accidents. The detailed accident study, it actually helps in order to evaluate the causes of the accidents. That might be certain sorts of obstructions. So these obstructions, they can be removed. To provide the traffic control devices. So if there is a particular zone wherein excessive speeding of the vehicle it turns to the accident, then provision of the warning signs, the provision of the um, speed breakers, it can help in order to regulate the or bring down the speed, thus avoiding the accidents. Then at the curves, the provision of the superelevation, it will also help in order to control the accidents, as it will avoid the lateral skidding of the vehicle. Next is the provide the proper road crossing or the zebra crossings. Provision of the road crossings or the zebra crossings allows the pedestrians to move or to cross the lane or the road. At the same time, it also alerts or makes the driver aware regarding lowering down his speed and allowing the pedestrian to cross the road. Barrier or the barrier for the unauthorized crossings. So here provision of the barrier for the unauthorized crossings can help to avoid the accidents. Next is the to provide the footpath alongside of the roads. The provision of the footpath will remove the pedestrian movement on the road, thus allowing the pedestrians to have a separate specific lane for for the pedestrian movement, whereas the entire road or the lane is kept free for the vehicles to move, thus avoiding the collision of the vehicle and the pedestrian, thus avoiding the accidents. The strict enforcement of the laws on violates. That means if the laws are being made, but if they are not enforced strictly, then the rules or the regulations, they are of no use. Here, if these laws and regulations they are implemented strictly, people they are forced to be aware and to take necessary measures while driving on the roads. That means the negligence will directly be curtailed down, and people they will be more conscious while driving on the road. Educational aids, that is to make the common people aware regarding the traffic signals, the traffic signs, and the proper way of driving the vehicles. Lastly is the sufficient lightning. Sufficient lightning is very important as uh, driving at night, because the glare on the road or the glare on the eyesight of the driver from the opposite vehicle, it may lead to the cause of an accident. So the use of a dipper at night becomes very essential as it avoids the glare on the eyesight of the driver. Now the road intersections. When two or more roads they intersect each other, it is called as an intersection or a road junction. And it should be designed in order to provide the safety to the road user and allow the traffic to flow freely. All the road intersections which meet at above the same level, allowing the traffic maneuvers like merging, diverging, crossing, weaving, are called as intersection at grade. The factors to be considered in the design of the intersections are accidents should be reduced. So the implementation of this traffic intersections is to avoid the accidents. Second, sufficient visibility should be ensured for the vehicles. When the vehicles they move from the opposite directions, that means a vehicle A is coming at an intersection to come on to the main road. So the vehicle B which moves from the opposite direction should be clearly visible to the vehicle A, thus avoiding the collision. Third is the adequate lighting should be provided during the night, because this intersecting or the junction points are the major causes of accidents if they cause a blind spot. Fourth, proper signs, guardrails, traffic islands, they should be provided in order to guide the driver regarding the intersection. Proper pedestrian crossings should be provided in order to safeguard the pedestrians while crossing or moving on the lane. And lastly, the free flow of the traffic is allowed at the design speed by the intrusion of the design of intersections. Now, the different types of intersections can be seen from the figure. First row is for the T intersections, second is the Y intersections, third is the cross intersections, fifth is the skewed intersections, and lastly we have the multiple intersection and the rotary intersections. It depends upon these types of intersections, they basically depend upon the shape of the intersections. Again, the diamond intersections, the rotary intersections, and the partial clover leaf intersection. Road intersections are classified basically into two types. First is at grade intersection and second is grade separated intersection. At grade intersection is again subclassified as the unchannelized and channelized intersection. As we know that an intersection, it is a junction where two or more roads they meet or they cross. And the roads that cross each other at the same level or an elevation, they are called as an grade intersection, at grade intersection. So the at grade intersections, as we discussed earlier, there are two types. There is the unchannelized and the channelized intersection. So in the first case is the unchannelized or the at grade intersections. So these are the at grade intersections without the islands for directing the traffic into the definite paths. The at grade or the unchannelized intersections, they are simple in design and they are dangerous in the traffic operations. First is the plain intersection, wherein no provision for the additional pavement width for turning movements is being provided. Second is the flared intersection, wherein the provision for the additional pavement width for the turning movements is provided, and they are classified as square junction, skew junction, T junction, Y junction, and the multiple junction. As you can see from the figure, first is the square junction, and second the skewed or the acute junction, the point where all the lanes they meet together. In the first case it forms a square, so called as a square junction, and in the second case it is an acute junction where the roads they meet together at a intersection. Third is a T junction, wherein the intersection it takes the shape of a English letter T. Similarly, the Y junction taking the shape of an English letter Y. The multiple junction, it relates to the intersection of the n number of lanes or the multiple lanes at one single point. With this, we shall stop. Thank you.